What if some of your most important memories are not as accurate as you think? What if every time you remember something, your brain quietly changes it a little bit? Most people believe memory works like a video camera, recording events and storing them away exactly as they happened. But the truth is far more fascinating. Your memory is not a recording device. It is a living, changing system that is constantly rebuilding your past, shaping your present, and influencing your future. Think about the last conversation you had with a close friend. You probably remember parts of it clearly. Certain words, emotions, maybe even the place where it happened. But if your friend described that same conversation, their version might be surprisingly different. Who is right? In many cases, both of you. Because memory is not about storing perfect copies of reality. It is about creating meaning. Every second, your brain receives an overwhelming amount of information. Sounds, images, smells, emotions, sensations, thoughts. If your brain tried to save every detail, it would be impossible to function efficiently. Instead, it acts like a highly selective editor. It decides what is important enough to keep and what can be ignored. This process begins with attention. Before something can become a memory, it first has to capture your focus. Have you ever driven home and realized you barely remember the trip? That's because your attention was somewhere else. Your brain was operating largely on autopilot. Information that doesn't receive enough attention often never becomes a lasting memory in the first place. Imagine walking into a crowded room. Hundreds of details surround you. Yet your brain quickly focuses on what seems important. Maybe you notice someone calling your name. Maybe you spot a familiar face. Maybe you hear a sound that seems unusual. Attention acts like a spotlight, deciding what enters the memory system. Once information gets your attention, it moves into what psychologists often call short-term or working memory. This is like your brain's temporary workspace. It's where you hold information for a few seconds while actively using it. For example, when someone tells you a phone number and you repeat it in your head before writing it down, you're using working memory. But working memory has limits. Most people can only hold a small amount of information there at one time. That's why it's easy to forget a number if someone interrupts you before you write it down. For a memory to last longer, your brain needs to encode it. Encoding is the process of transforming experiences into a form that can be stored. This is where things become interesting. Your brain doesn't simply save facts. It connects information to emotions, meanings, patterns, and existing knowledge. That's why emotionally powerful experiences often become unforgettable. Your first kiss. A major achievement. The birth of a child. A frightening accident. Strong emotions tell the brain, this matters. Pay attention. Have you ever wondered why you can remember a song from 20 years ago but forget where you left your keys this morning? The answer often comes down to emotional significance and repetition. The song may be connected to memories, feelings, and experiences that have been reinforced over many years. Your keys, on the other hand, may have been placed down while your attention was focused elsewhere. One of the most remarkable discoveries about memory is that sleep plays a crucial role in strengthening it. While you're asleep, your brain is far from inactive. In many ways, it is busy organizing information from the day. Researchers believe sleep helps transfer important memories into more stable long-term storage. This may explain why studying late into the night and skipping sleep often produces poor results. It's not just about the time spent learning. It's also about giving your brain the opportunity to process and strengthen what you've learned. Long-term memory itself is not a single storage unit. Different types of memories are handled in different ways. Some memories involve facts and events. Others involve skills and habits. Think about riding a bicycle. Even if you haven't done it in years, you can probably get back on and ride relatively quickly. That's because procedural memories, the memories related to skills, operate differently from memories about facts or specific events. You may forget the details of a particular day from your childhood, but still remember how to tie your shoes, ride a bike, or type on a keyboard. These abilities become deeply embedded through repetition and practice. Now here's something that surprises many people. Every time you remember something, you're not simply retrieving a fixed file. You are reconstructing it. Imagine pulling an old photograph out of a drawer. Most people think memory works that way. But memory is closer to opening a document, editing it, and saving it again. Every retrieval can slightly alter the memory itself. New emotions, new experiences, and new interpretations can become woven into old memories. Over time, details may shift without you even realizing it. This doesn't mean your memory is broken. It's simply how the system works. In fact, memory is designed more for helping us navigate the future than for perfectly preserving the past. Your brain cares less about creating an exact historical archive and more about helping you make decisions, solve problems, and adapt to changing situations. This may also explain why negative experiences sometimes seem larger in our minds than positive ones. From an evolutionary perspective, remembering potential dangers could improve survival. If your ancestors remembered threats better than pleasant moments, they may have been more likely to avoid future risks. Yet this tendency can sometimes work against us in modern life. Many people replay embarrassing moments, mistakes, or failures repeatedly, strengthening those memories while overlooking countless positive experiences. Think about that for a moment. Some of the memories that influence your confidence today may not be the most important events of your life. They may simply be the events you've rehearsed most often in your mind. This realization can be surprisingly powerful. The stories you tell yourself about your past help shape how you see yourself today. If you constantly revisit memories of failure, your brain becomes increasingly familiar with that narrative. But if you intentionally reflect on moments of resilience, growth, and success, you strengthen a very different perspective. This doesn't mean pretending bad things never happened. It means recognizing that memory is not just about storage. It's also about interpretation. Another fascinating aspect of memory is something called context. Have you ever walked into a room and forgotten why you went there? Then, moments later, you return to the previous room and suddenly remember. This happens because memories are often linked to environmental cues. Locations, smells, sounds, and even moods can trigger retrieval. That's why a particular song can instantly transport you back to a specific moment in your life. Or why the smell of a certain food can bring back childhood memories you haven't thought about in years. Memory is deeply connected to identity. When you think about who you are, you're largely thinking about a collection of memories. Your experiences, relationships, achievements, struggles, and lessons all contribute to the story you call your life. But here's the deeper insight. The person you are today is not only shaped by what happened to you. It's also shaped by how you remember what happened. Two people can experience similar events and develop completely different beliefs about themselves. One person may see a setback as proof of failure. Another may see it as evidence of perseverance. The event may be similar. The meaning attached to it can be very different. This is one reason memory is so powerful. It doesn't just preserve experiences. It helps create the lens through which we view the world. And despite all its imperfections, memory is one of the most extraordinary abilities the human brain possesses. It allows us to learn from the past, connect with others, build relationships, develop skills, and imagine possible futures. Without memory, every day would feel like starting over. There would be no personal history, no accumulated wisdom, no sense of continuity between yesterday and tomorrow. So the next time you remember a childhood moment, recognize a familiar face, recall a lesson you once learned, or feel a wave of nostalgia from a forgotten song, consider what's happening behind the scenes. Billions of neurons are working together, reconstructing pieces of your past and bringing them into your present awareness. Your memory is not perfect. It was never designed to be. But its purpose is far more meaningful than perfection. It helps you learn. It helps you adapt. It helps you understand who you are. And perhaps the most fascinating part is this: right now, as you listen to these words, your brain is already deciding what parts of this experience it will keep, what parts it will let go, and what story it will tell about it later. Because memory is not just something you have. Memory is something your brain is constantly creating. If this helped you understand your mind better, subscribe for more videos like this.